stop. Right now, you are living a lie. You are taking credit for things you did not build. You are claiming beauty you did not create. You boast of status you did not earn. That car, that house, that job title, they are not yours. They are merely on loan. You have confused the rental for the renter. This fundamental mistake must end now. We must tear down the fragile identity built on borrowed merits. You must answer one brutal question. If you strip away everything that was given to you, everything you bought, everything you use for show, what is actually left? The goal is not to add more to your life. The goal is to burn away the false. You must finally see and build what is truly and unshakably yours. Listen closely. Chapter 1. Stop collecting accolades for rentals. We expose the core fallacy of pride in externals. We confuse ownership with merit. We fundamentally believe that our possessions reflect our inner worth. This belief is a devastating error. You must recognize that you are the custodian, not the creator. You guard objects that other hands built. We must systematically credit the true sources of our advantages. Consider your nice car. The merit belongs entirely to the engineers. It belongs to the designers. It belongs to the assembly line workers. Whose sweat built this? Whose genius conceived it? It was not yours. Consider your educated mind. The merit belongs to your teachers. It belongs to the authors you have read. It belongs to the philosophers who came before you. You did not invent geometry. You did not pioneer literature. You simply inherited the cumulative genius of centuries. You are the custodian, not the creator. True merit rests only with those who conceived or constructed the object. When you claim credit for borrowed splendor, you build an incidental self. This identity based on possessions is inherently fragile. A sudden market crash should not shatter your sense of self. A damaged car should not cause despair. A lost job title must not define your worth. These external changes only affect the shadow. You have attached your soul to a shadow. This shadow disappears when the light shifts or the source is removed. You must realize that everything you own is temporary. You rent beauty. You borrow status. When these things are gone, the incidental self vanishes. Your true self must reside in something permanent. If your title is lost, your identity should remain intact. You must cease to measure your inner worth by external acquisitions. Your fragile pride must be replaced by grounded self-awareness. The world provides tools, and we confuse the tools for our essential being. This confusion leaves us exposed and vulnerable to every fluctuation of fortune. True identity is built on internal architecture, not external decorations. Chapter 2. Your only true possession, the faculty of choice. We must define the only thing that is truly, inalienably yours. It is not your body. Your body is subject to disease and decay. It is not your reputation. Your reputation is subject to gossip and public opinion. It is not your wealth. Your wealth is subject to economic collapse. The only thing you own is your prohairesis. This is your faculty of choice and judgment. This is the inner citadel. This is the command center of your mind. No external event can directly control this faculty. Others can imprison your body, but they cannot imprison your mind. Others can seize your assets, but they cannot seize your choices. The space between the stimulus and the response, that is your kingdom. This is the territory you must fiercely defend. This kingdom is where your entire worth resides. We must understand that your perception of events is more valuable than the events themselves. This is judgment over jewels. Losing money is merely a neutral event. Your judgment that this loss is a catastrophe is what makes it painful. A traffic jam is just time passing slowly. Your judgment that it is a personal insult or an impediment to justice makes you angry. It is not what happens to you that determines your state. It is the story you tell yourself about what happens. Events are external and uncontrollable. Your interpretation is internal and wholly controllable. We must train this judgment muscle. This requires relentless effort. We must engage in the daily drill. Practice morning premeditation. State clearly that today you will be challenged. Acknowledge that your judgment will be tested by difficult people or frustrating events. Prepare your mind to hold the line. Then perform an evening review. Audit your day rigorously. Ask where you ceded control of your judgment. Ask where you held the line successfully. Train your judgment. It is the only tool you own. You must protect this single possession. Do not surrender your power of choice to outside opinion or fleeting emotion. This faculty is the unshakable foundation of your true self. Chapter 3. From ownership to stewardship, the higher purpose of your stuff. We must reframe our role from owner to steward for the common good. You are not isolated. You are a citizen of a global community. This is the human cosmopolis. Your resources are never just for you. They are tools intended for the benefit of all. The objects you temporarily manage are preferred indifference. They are things to be used wisely. They are never things to be desperately clung to. You are a temporary manager of temporary things. You must manage them well. Stewardship means using what you have been given according to reason and duty. We must apply the interrogation of utility to every asset. For every possession, ask the defining question. The defining question is not, "What do I have?" The defining question is, "What does this allow me to do?" If you possess wealth, ask what good the wealth facilitates. If you have skill, ask how that skill serves the community. A house is not merely a display of financial success. Does it host community? Is it a place of warmth and genuine connection? A resource is merely potential until it is employed virtuously. We contrast the vain owner with the virtuous steward. The material asset remains exactly the same. The use of the material is what defines the person. One uses a tool to elevate the self. The other uses the tool to elevate the whole. The goal is maximizing utility guided by virtue. Every possession is a responsibility. We are not defined by the size of our holdings. We are defined by the moral application of those holdings. Embrace your managerial role. Understand that all resources are flowing through you. They are meant to improve the world you inhabit. Use your temporary resources to build something permanent, impact and connection. Chapter 4. Forge your character, the only project that matters. We must now define the only project that truly matters. That project is to forge your character. Character is built by actions, not assets. We must define the specific behaviors that constitute real character. It means acting with integrity when no one is watching. It means keeping your promises without fail. It means showing kindness to those who cannot offer you anything in return. It means enduring difficulty with grace. It means facing the difficult truth and speaking it clearly. Your character is not a list of abstract virtues. It is a tangible pattern of actions. We must consciously engineer a virtuous identity. We are building a monolith. This construction happens daily. Start small and maintain absolute consistency. Make your bed. Complete the minor task you set for yourself. Finish the uncomfortable workout. Every single kept promise to yourself is a brick in the foundation of your character. Never break a promise to yourself. Every choice you make is a vote for the person you wish to become. The votes for self-discipline, integrity, and courage accumulate silently. This accumulation determines your true self. We must shift validation entirely. Stop waiting for external applause. Stop seeking a thank you or public recognition. We must move to an internal audit. This is the silent scorecard. The act of helping or acting justly is its own complete reward. Seek only the silent approval of your own conscience. This is the only applause that matters. Find satisfaction in knowing you did the right thing. This must hold true especially when the right thing was the hardest thing. The world does not need more people with nice things. The world needs more people who are truly and unshakably good. This goodness is entirely within your control. Build a character that no market crash can break. Build a reputation that no critic can truly tarnish. This is the only project that is wholly and perpetually yours. This is the end of the false life. The life of borrowing credit is over. The life of fragile pride is finished. From this moment forward, you have no excuses. You know the truth. Your car is a tool. Your house is a tool. Your money is a tool. Your status is a tool. Your body is a tool. They are not you. You are your judgment. You are your choices. You are the sum of your intentional actions. What will you do with what you have been given? Will you be a vain collector? Will you polish trinkets that will rust? Or will you be a steward? Will you be a builder? Will you be a citizen of the world? The choice is yours. It was always yours. It is the only thing that ever was yours. Go, use your tools, build something that lasts.